the number one cause of obesity is genetics. That means if you are born to parents that have obesity, you have a 50 to 85% likelihood of having the disease yourself, even with optimal diet, exercise, sleep management, stress management. So when people see families that have obesity, the assumption is, what are they feeding those kids?
We have health professionals like Dr. Fatima Cody that go on 60 Minutes that say that obesity is genetic, and then she begins to peddle a drug like Ozempic where she receives a commission and a kickback from that. She is on the 2025 Dietary Guidelines Committee, and she has received millions of dollars of money from drug companies because of these recommendations. Just 70 years ago, not that long, when my grandparents were kids, the rate of obesity in the United States was 5%. Today, in 2025, that rate is over 40%. Now, we had those same exact genes that we did 70 years ago. In fact, we've largely had the same genes as humans that we did 300,000 years ago. So if obesity is genetic and there's not much that we can do about it other than take a drug, how can it be that obesity is genetic if we have the same genes just a generation or two ago? But obesity has jumped up from 5% to 40%. Well, there has been a lot of science that has come out in the past 1 to 2 decades that has confirmed without a doubt that it's not necessarily about your genes. You can have obesity genes, but you can turn those genes on or off by how you live your life. This is what's called epigenetics. Your environment is going to control whether you turn those genes on or off. What matters most is the environment that you live in. When people grow up in a family that practices unhealthy habits, eating ultra-processed food, not moving regularly, maybe has high stress, and obesity is in that family, the children that grow up in that family are likely to adopt those habits. Whereas if you remove yourself from that environment, I'm one of those examples. I grew up in a family that has obesity. 40% of the population does. Over 70% of the population is overweight or obese. When you can take yourself out of that environment and do more healthy lifestyle factors, have a healthier environment, you can directly control a lot of your genes because of these epigenetic signaling factors. The types of food you eat, the types of movement you do, the type of sleep you get or don't get, all these factors influence whether you turn on certain genes or turn off certain genes. If you put yourself back into the environment that your biology, that your genes expect for you to be healthy, that you've evolved to be in, nature, sunlight, eating whole foods, getting sleep, living low stress lives, you don't have to experience the negative health outcomes that we have here in the modern world. Not only does science confirm this, but time and time again, we've seen this in anecdotes where people remove themselves from unhealthy environments, place themselves in new ones, and they have incredible health results, health transformations. In one of those healthy choices, it's clear that eating a healthy diet is one of the major factors that can control not just weight gain or weight loss, but also so many other chronic health conditions that people may experience down the road. And eating an animal-based diet is one type of diet that I like to consider nature's Ozempic. We are told time and time again from these doctors that you need to get on a weight loss drug. And time again, I've heard from people that I've tried everything, that there's nothing I can do. But I ask the question, what types of diets have you tried? What type of environment have you placed yourself in? Have you tried an animal-based diet? If you haven't, maybe you could give this a try, because time and time again, people have found great success eating this style of diet. And today I'm gonna lay out 4 science-backed ways that eating an animal-based diet is nature's Ozempic and will help you live a long, healthy life. Now, there isn't one diet that's right for everybody. There's a lot of bio-individuality in the world, and what works for one person might not work for another. One food that works for one person might not work for another. But while there isn't one particular diet that works for everybody, there is a framework. And I believe eating this framework today can help a lot of people lose weight and live a long, healthy life. The first of 4 ways that eating an animal-based diet can help you lose weight is that it's full of protein. Protein is the single greatest macronutrient that we have that triggers satiety. If people are having a hard time losing weight, burning fat, I want to ask you, how much protein do you eat every day? And right now we have recommendations where they are far too low. The guidelines for protein is far too low. It's 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That equals out, if a person is 150 pounds, that means they need to eat just 50 grams of protein a day. Realistically, we need to be eating about 3 times that much. A 150-pound person should not be eating 50 grams of protein a day. They need about 150 grams of protein per day. But more than just eating more protein, science has found that when you eat protein can influence how many calories you eat the rest of the day. This study from our recent video found that if you eat more protein for your first meal of the day in the morning, you're going to eat fewer foods throughout the rest of the day. So my recommendation is to aim for 30 to 50 grams of protein for each meal of the day. For breakfast, try and eat 30 to 50 grams. That could be a few eggs with some raw whole milk. That can be some ground beef. That can be Greek yogurt, a combination of them all, but aim for 30 to 50 grams of protein for each meal throughout the day. And if you're somebody out there that is trying to burn body fat, maybe you have, say, 100 pounds to lose, don't eat 250 or 300 grams of protein. Eat your ideal body weight and protein per day. So if your goal weight is 150 pounds, eat 150 grams of protein in a day. If your goal weight is 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein per day, or right around there. And for a little bit more added assurance, according to a recent review and meta-analysis, this has confirmed that eating a high protein diet long-term helps you to lose weight and prevents weight regain after weight loss. There's a lot of myths out there that eating a high protein diet can cause a lot of issues, but we've done several videos talking about that, debunking some of those myths. If you're still concerned about eating a ton of protein from an animal-based diet, definitely check out those videos in the description below. Now, the second science-backed reason that eating an animal-based diet is nature's Ozempic is that it is very micronutrient dense. If there's one quote that you take away from this point here, it's that chronic nutrient deficiency leads to chronic overeating. We overeat because we never nourish ourselves. We can eat 2,000 or 3,000 calories of foods, pizza and ultra-processed foods like Oreos and all these other ultra-processed foods on the store shelves. We overeat and still feel hungry because we never adequately nourished our bodies with vitamins and minerals. You can eat 2,000 or 3,000 calories of pizza, ice cream, Oreos, even maybe low-calorie snacks and all these other ultra-processed foods that line the store shelves, and you might still be hungry an hour or two later. Why is that? Because you never actually gave your body vitamins and minerals, and that is what's going to largely trigger satiety and make you feel full. Eating a lot of micronutrients is really what's going to fill you up. It's really hard to overeat ground beef by itself, or salmon by itself, or a lot of these other whole foods, because they're full of vitamins and minerals, and that's what your body is craving. So chronic micronutrient deficiency, chronically depriving your body of these vitamins and minerals, is going to cause chronic overeating. And here's the thing, you aren't what you eat. You are what you absorb. Because eating an animal-based diet limits a lot of these defense chemicals in plants, you absorb a lot of the vitamins and minerals from animal-based foods like raw dairy and meat a lot better than you do from plant foods like beans, spinach, and other plant sources of vitamins and minerals. I believe plants have their place in our diets, of course, but plants do contain a lot of defense chemicals like oxalates, lectins, or gluten is a very popular lectin, phytates, and even fiber, which I am a fan of, but fiber can be an anti-nutrient at times. It binds to minerals and excretes it out of the body. So just because you're eating a ton of calcium in spinach doesn't mean you're actually absorbing all that calcium. You can be excreting it out of your body because the oxalates in spinach actually bind to that calcium and don't allow you to absorb it. Whereas the calcium in raw dairy, you're actually able to absorb a majority of that because it's not coming with oxalates or defense chemicals. So when you're prioritizing an animal-based diet, not only are you getting in a ton of protein, but you're also getting in a ton of vitamins and minerals that are going to adequately nourish your body and make you feel full and allow you to go 3, 4, 5 hours without craving your next meal.
What's up, guys? Real quick, if you are loving this content, then you are absolutely going to love this new Ancestral Protein Powder by Ancestral Supplements. This is 100% grass-fed and grass-finished protein powder, the first ever of its kind. This is a beef bone broth broth protein isolate combined with organs and medicinal mushrooms with just a little bit of salt and sweetened with monk fruit. Now, there's nothing fake or synthetic in here at all. Everything's been third-party lab tested for ultimate purity. There's no artificial sweeteners or anything like that in here. It's completely preservative-free, and there's definitely no seed oils in this protein powder at all. Now, the thing that makes this protein powder super unique is that it's not just a beef bone broth protein powder, but it also combines many different organs like liver, heart, pancreas, kidney, and spleen, along with bone matrix and my favorite, medicinal mushrooms. These medicinal mushrooms include lion's mane for brain health, chaga mushroom for immunity, cordyceps for boosting your athletic performance and the bedroom, and reishi for ultimate sleep and immune boosting properties. These mushrooms are grown right here in the United States, and they are all regenerative organic certified. A lot of companies can claim that their products are regenerative, but this is actually regenerative organic certified. This is a complete protein that's going to support your gut health, immune system, metabolism, and muscle growth, and you're not going to want to miss out on trying this. This is brand new, and we are excited to bring this to you. It comes in both vanilla and chocolate, so get your hands on some today.
Now, the third science-backed reason that eating an animal-based diet is nature's Ozempic is that it's naturally anti-inflammatory. Now, this is my own personal anecdote, but I've been eating a more animal-based way of life for about 10 years, but really hardcore for the past 5 to 6 years. And my inflammation levels, I just got tested, they are minimal. I don't have chronic systemic inflammation. My HSCRP, which is a great marker for systemic inflammation, was very low, 0.3, and all my other markers tested negative or very low for inflammation. That's my own personal anecdote, but there has been meta-analyses, peer-reviewed science that has found that when you're eating meat, like red meat, you're eating raw dairy, you're eating all these animal-based foods in the context of a otherwise healthy lifestyle, you're sleeping right, you're moving right, you're not stressing, this type of diet is not inflammatory. And eating an anti-inflammatory diet, along with doing other lifestyle factors that are also good for inflammation levels, like sleeping right, low stress, moving your body, this is a great way to promote long-term sustained weight loss without gaining all the weight back. Now, what are these foods that are on an animal-based diet that will give you protein, micronutrients, and lead to low inflammation? Well, I like to think of an animal-based diet as very ancestrally aligned, and to me, that means eating as much of your food that is local and in season as possible while minimizing the plant defense chemicals. I consider this to be muscle meat and organs like ground beef, steaks, and then organs like liver, heart, kidney, and other organs. Raw dairy like milk, cheese, kefir, and yogurt and butter, pasture-raised eggs, honey, and other natural unrefined sugars, maybe like maple syrup, fruit, in-season fruit. What do you have local to you that's in season around you? Right now, apples, maybe some berries. And then fermented veggies like sauerkraut, pickles, and kimchi, because this takes plants and ferments them, which naturally reduces the plant defense chemicals, but it increases enzymes and gives it a lot of probiotics. This is a great way to eat plants that cultures have done historically for thousands of years. And then I also consider sourdough bread to also be on an ancestral animal-based diet. Now, in addition to living a healthy lifestyle and lowering your inflammation levels, avoiding things like smoking or high stress or seed oils or all these other things, processed sugars that might lead to higher inflammation levels, that is just as important as what you are consuming is what you're not consuming. Which leads me to my last point. This is the fourth science-backed reason that eating an animal-based diet is nature's Ozempic, is that by default, when you're eating an animal-based diet, you are limiting or avoiding ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods are foods that have seen more of the inside of a factory than we have nature. These are foods that you can't recreate in your kitchen even if you wanted to. Ultra-processed foods are foods that have once been in nature, talking about a field of wheat, and somehow that field of wheat somehow becomes Oreo cookies or Lucky Charms. It's completely, you can't even recognize it anymore, and your biology can't recognize it anymore. And the main thing that is the problem with ultra-processed foods is that they are designed to be overeaten. There are chemists in a lab that are developing the perfect ratio of fat, carbs, sugar, salt, and addictive chemicals like MSG in these foods that are completely legal, and these trick the pleasure centers inside of our brain that make them hyper palatable. These are designed to be overeaten. And when you cut these these out of your diet. And these are the foods that make up 80% of the grocery store. You can walk up and down any aisle, and if it comes primarily in a box or a bag and it has a long list of ingredients, you can guarantee that these are an ultra processed food. And again, these don't have a ton of vitamins and minerals. These are going to be full of processed sugars, seed oils, grains that are going to cause us to really overeat these foods. And when you cut these out of your diet, you might go through a period of withdrawal. You might go through some hangriness. You might go through some sweats. You might go through a period of withdrawal because your body's so used to eating these. But after a few weeks of cutting these out of your diet and eating a more animal-based aligned diet, more of whole foods, your body will just naturally start craving whole foods in a much better way. Now, I already mentioned it, but the 3 biggest ingredients that are in ultra processed foods that cause us to overeat and promote more fat storage: seed oils, processed sugars, and refined grains. There have been countless studies linking more ultra processed food consumption with more weight gain. Not to mention that recent studies have found that more subsidized foods, the more subsidized foods that we eat, which is foods like soy and corn and seed oils, foods that are heavily subsidized, the more increased risk you have for obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other health issues. So if I can leave you with one takeaway today, it's to eat a more whole food based diet, an animal based diet that's full of protein. Even if you're eating a whole food plant based diet, make sure you're getting enough protein in, about 1 gram per pound of protein per body weight each day. Make sure you're getting in a ton of micronutrients and that you are what you absorb. You're not what you eat. Make sure that you're actually absorbing those micronutrients from whole foods like red meats or organs that are the most nutrient dense foods on the planet, fermented foods that have a ton of enzymes in it that are going to help your digestive tract, can help autoimmunity, can help so many things. And make sure, no matter if you're eating a whole food animal-based diet or a whole food plant-based diet, that you're avoiding, for the most part, ultra-processed foods, because these foods promote more fat storage, they trick your pleasure centers inside of your brain, make them more hyperpalatable, cause you to eat more, and they come with a host of negative effects. Not to mention, eating a whole food-based diet, an animal-based diet, is not going to come with a host of side effects like a drug might, like Ozempic and Wegovy might. So if you're out there struggling to have sustained fat loss, give this approach a try. I hope this content has helped you. Share this out with somebody that you know needs to see this information the most, and I'll talk to you next time.